Real Virginia is produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farming, it's all good. Visit our website at vafarmbureau.org.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products we enjoy.
Farmers have had great weather this growing season. Will this help lower your food bill? Grilling season is coming to a close, but not before Kendra Bailey Morris shows us how to create a tasty treat right on the waterfront. And we'll learn how one farm made the transition from raising racehorses to raising cattle.
Welcome back everyone. We're here at the Albus Family Farm in Goochland County where they're getting ready to harvest some good looking corn here behind us. And it has been a good year for harvest all across the state because of enough rain this summer. But as Norm Hyde reports, that's also going to mean good news for the consumer, but maybe not in the way you think.
As the combines roar across Virginia cornfields this fall, farmers have enjoyed good weather. The latest crop survey estimates corn yields will average 145 bushels an acre, a 29% increase from last year's crop that was hit by dry weather. Soybean and cotton predictions are down from earlier this year, while peanut prospects have gone up after a dry August.
A good corn crop is certainly something that lifts everybody's spirits, and I think everybody at this point is feeling pretty good.
Essex County Cooperative Extension Agent Keith Balderson spends much of his time advising farmers on how to improve their yields and protect the environment. But one thing no one controls is the weather, and this was a good year for corn.
Overall, the rainfall in June and July was very beneficial. It did have an impact, a negative impact from a small grain standpoint because our harvest got delayed and the quality of our late harvested wheat and barley was very poor.
Corn is an essential crop in the state's and the nation's farm economy, and the national corn crop is also expected to be much better this year. You'd think that would help reduce prices at the grocery store for consumers. But economists say when adjusted for inflation, our food prices haven't gone up for years.
Its portion of the consumer price index has remained very steady at about 14.5% of the index. The index can go up and the index can go down. Food costs as a percentage of it, relative to that, have been very, very stable.
Jonah Bowles is a commodity market economist with the Virginia Farm Bureau. He says there are so many other costs associated with producing our food supply that the farmer receives only about 10% of what is paid at the grocery store.
From planting the crop to harvest to transportation to processing, those energy costs have gone up. And we're also seeing in many cases labor costs going up. Those factors have a greater influence on our food costs, on our food prices at the grocery store than the prices that are received by the farmer in the field.
So a good corn crop won't necessarily translate into lower food prices, but consumer food prices don't spike up and down nearly as much as farm commodity prices do. Bowles says farmers have to deal with much wider swings in the price that they get for their crops. That's why they need crop insurance and marketing tools.
The farmer is trying very hard to hold down food costs. In doing so, while he is holding down his cost. So he's working on behalf of the consumer.
Despite the challenges of staying in farming, this is a good fall to be a corn grower, especially when you consider that some parts of Virginia suffer from drought every summer.
Anytime we can make a good crop, we certainly enjoy that, and we know starting off from the beginning that you never know when you plant a crop really what you're going to harvest because of the rainfall patterns.
And that's why both farmer and consumer can feel good this harvest season. Every once in a while, Mother Nature smiles on everyone. In Essex County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde. The main road from Richmond to the Rappahannock River goes through Essex County, and the 102 farms here generate almost $10 million in cash receipts each year. Barley, corn, soybeans, and wheat are the top crops, along with hay. In fact, this is the second largest corn growing county in the state. A few head of cattle and some pleasure horses are also found here. With its close proximity to summer homes along the Rappahannock and Potomac rivers, there's also plenty of local vegetables grown here. But row crops are still king of the farm in Essex County, Virginia.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about great plants for brilliant fall color. Stay with us.
Well, we're on our farm here in Virginia in Augusta County. We have been here since 1954. We moved here, my dad did. And since then, I've had my two sons and daughter and son-in-law, they're here. I've got grandchildren, so it's a fourth generation here that's on this farm right now.
We really feel blessed that all of our family is a part of this farm. They could have chosen different routes.
Well, it's a wonderful place to grow up and have a family, and we can all work together and play together.
I know there's a lot of families, they go to work and you don't see them till that night, whereas with the farm here, we see each other all day long.
It's a wonderful place to grow up and live.
Being out here in nature and watching things grow, and just days like today, that's a beautiful day, you just feel very fortunate. I'm Dan Holsinger. I'm dedicated to dairy, my cows, my milk, and my land.
Fall is my favorite time of year, primarily because of all the beautiful colors that there are. And as Mark Viette tells us, there's no reason you can't have those same colors in the garden.
Creating a garden with fall color is not hard. The only hard thing is you need to start, because in some cases it could take 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years for plants or trees to really exhibit their showiness in color. This is the native fringe tree, Chiananthus, that you'll many times see up in the Appalachian Mountains in bloom in the spring with beautiful yellowish white hanging flowers. It's known as Granddaddy's beard. We also have our native witch hazel, and this also can bloom in the fall, as you see here with the nice color. One of the things that influences color is the shorter days, the cooler nights. To have great fall color, you don't want a very wet fall, but nor do you want temperatures that are really cold early in the fall. But look at these here. This is the full moon maple, Acer aconitifolium. And one of my favorites is the burning bush, or the fire bush, and this is euonymus, and it has great color, but not only does it have the color that you see here, it has the berries or fruit which will feed our wildlife and our birds. Remember, investing in fall color could last a lifetime or multiple lifetimes. Trees can live as long as 100 years or longer. So you might plant something tiny, but it might look like that beautiful sugar maple behind me, which has great color. You can find maples that have yellow colors, red colors, scarlet colors. The choice is immense. Also, many of our native plants, like the dogwood or dogwood varieties, are great to use, and many of our native dogwoods also produce berries. Some of the hybrid dogwoods, which are disease resistant, produce great flowers, great fall color, but no berries for the wildlife. Of course, I can't forget one of my favorite trees, and that's going to be the sourwood tree. This is a plant that grows up and down the Appalachian Mountains, and sometimes you might find something that says sourwood honey, or honey from sourwood trees. They're great. They got beautiful flowers and seed pods that last a long time, and then they have sort of this pinkish color that almost turns scarlet by the end of the fall season. I cannot forget to mention one of my other favorite plants, and that's going to be the beautyberry. Calicarpa, or the beautyberry, is a native plant, and there's forms that are white, there's forms that are purple, and they have these beautiful berries late in the season. Now, the one good thing about this is birds don't really feed on the berries, so the berries stay all season long. The other plant that I will mention will be the deciduous holly, or the holly that loses its leaves. A common name might be sparkleberry. Remember, plant now for many years of that brilliant fall color. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Up next on Real Virginia, Kendra Bailey Morris shows us how to make a terrific Thai dish in the heart of the home.
Looking for some unbridled excitement this fall? Make plans to visit the annual Equine Extravaganza, November 1st through the 3rd at the Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. The Equine Extravaganza truly offers something for every type and breed of horse lover. More than 100 clinics and demonstrations by top national horse industry experts will be offered. Everything from natural horsemanship to dressage, reining, jumping, trail riding, cowboy mounted shooting, barrel racing, horse business planning, and more. Plus, don't miss the exciting Masio Gypsy Festival Equestrian Show. 10 breeds of horses and their daring riders will give a high-energy, choreographed performance to music. There'll also be food, wine, and horse items for sale from all over the country, and a special Secretariat-themed event and book signings. It's all at the Equine Extravaganza, November 1st through the 3rd at the Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. Get your tickets today at equineextravaganza.com.
Looking for a low-carb recipe the whole family will love? Why not try this sausage lettuce wrap? Here's a recipe from Kendra Bailey Morris in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris and welcome to the Heart of the Home. Today we're in a very special place. This is Maror Restaurant, which is located in Virginia's Middle Peninsula, and it's owned by the folks at Rappahannock River Oyster Company, a wonderful oyster company and restaurant here right in Topping, Virginia. I encourage you to come out and check it out. Today what we're going to be making is not oysters yet. That will be coming up another time. We're going to be making a Thai-style ground pork and lettuce wraps. And this is a very kind of classic Thai dish. It's made with ground pork, a little bit of fish sauce, some chili pepper. It's lime juice, cilantro, really good, and you eat it in lettuce wrap. So there's really not a whole lot of carbohydrate in it, so it's healthy as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be doing some of this on the grill today. And the first thing we're going to do is add a little vegetable oil to our pan. About a tablespoon or so will do. And I'm going to get this going a little bit here. You don't need a whole lot. And I definitely encourage you to use either canola or vegetable oil and not use olive oil. Olive oil will impart a flavor that doesn't really match with this style of cooking. Now we're also going to go ahead and add some minced hot pepper, and you could use a Thai bird chili pepper, those little red peppers. You could use a jalapeno, which is what I have here. And I've got about a half a jalapeno. You could add more if you like it spicy. Thai food is supposed to be a little bit spicy, so I encourage you to do that. And I'm adding this straight to my hot oil because what I want to do is flavor that oil with the spice and the heat from that pepper. So I'm just going to go ahead and start that. The next thing we're going to add is some ground pork. You could use ground chicken if you wanted to, ground turkey. You could even use lean ground beef, but the ground pork is what's very traditional in this dish. And this dish in Thailand is actually called larb. Not a very beautiful name, but it's actually a Thai style dish with ground pork and all the spices that we're going to put in it. And this is about a pound of pork. And I'm just going to throw that in there. And what I'm going to do now is take about, 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and saute this pork down, and I'm going to get it nice and fully cooked through, and I'm going to drain the fat off, and then we're going to progress from there as soon as we get back. So we'll be back in just a minute. So our pork is nice and crispy and cooked down, and I've already gone ahead and drained the fat off of it. And what I'm going to do now is add some red onion. This is about a half of a small red onion minced. And I have some minced green onions here as well, and I'm going to add those in. And we're going to stir that a little bit, crank our heat up. There we go. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and do a mixture of some fish sauce and some brown sugar. And a lot of people have a reaction when they hear the word fish sauce. They're like, oh gosh, no, I don't want to touch this stuff. But it's really integral to this type of cooking, definitely Thai cooking, Vietnamese cooking, any type of South Asian food is going to have the fish sauce in it. And basically it's fermented anchovies that are pressed out into a salty sauce, and it functions in the same way that soy sauce does. It's just where the salty flavor is coming from. So and you can pretty much find this fish sauce at most grocery stores now, so I encourage you to go ahead and use that. If you can't find the fish sauce, you can always use soy sauce. And I'm going to do about a tablespoon of fish sauce. And in the recipe I mentioned 1 to 2 tablespoons, and that's really your preference. It's a salt level, so if you want it a little bit more salty, you could do 2 tablespoons. And I've got a tablespoon of brown sugar. Add just a little bit more here. So now we're just going to give this a stir. And I'm actually using my fingers because what we want to do here is try and break up the sugar a little bit so you're not having big grains of sugar in here. And sometimes it helps to use your finger for that. One thing about fish sauce, be careful with it. It's pungent. It smells very strong, and if you spill it, you're going to know it. And if you get it on your clothes, you're going to know it. So you want to be real careful. So, all right, this is done. And I'm going to go ahead and add this to my pork. And this is when you start to really smell this dish come alive. It's just such an amazing aroma. There's nothing like it. And now the next thing we're going to add is some lime juice, and I've got about recommended 1 to 2 tablespoons of the lime juice. I like this dish very limey personally, and that's very typical of Thai cooking, is to have a good amount of lime and acid flavor in the food. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze out about 1.5 tablespoons. So I'd say almost a whole lime, depending on how juicy your lime is. All right, that's good. And I'm going to cook this for about another 3 to 4 minutes and then come back and we're going to finish the dish and it'll be done. Be right back. So our pork is cooked and the onions and the fish sauce and the brown sugar and the lime juice is really just showing through. It's really nice. So what I'm going to do now, and I've taken this off the heat, is I'm just going to mince up about 3 to 4 tablespoons of fresh cilantro. And I'm just going to stir that in. And you want to do this off the heat because you really don't want to overcook the cilantro. You just really want to swirl it through while it's still warm. And that is done. So what we're going to do now is assemble our lettuce wraps, and what I've done here is I just have iceberg lettuce that I've just broken off some pieces off of this head of iceberg, and it's nice and chilled and good. And I'm just going to scoop a little bit in each one of these, and you just eat it with your hands. This is a great, unique way to utilize some Virginia pork products. I'm going to put a little bit fresh cilantro on top of that. All right. And here you have it. We have some Thai ground pork lettuce wraps featuring Virginia pork. I'm Kendra Bailey Morris. Let's get cooking.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.
U.S. pork production is a vital part of the economy. In 2011, there were approximately 35,000 full-time jobs related to pork production in the nation. The industry added $34.5 billion to the country's gross national product. Japan is the #1 export destination country for U.S. pork, although China is quickly becoming a strong market. Smithfield Foods, the world's largest pork company, is headquartered in Smithfield, Virginia, and Virginia Country Ham is famous all over the world for taste and quality. There are 365,000 hogs and pigs in Virginia, and the Virginia pork industry generates more than $518 million each year.
Hello, little prince.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Today, 720 new cases of breast cancer will be diagnosed.
Every day, 120 women will die from the disease.
You can make a difference for the more than 6,300 women diagnosed in Virginia this year.
Education and early detection
are critical in this fight by advocating for the needs of those of us suffering from the disease.
Let's keep breast cancer awareness out in front so we can leave the disease behind.
Virginia has a rich tradition of horse racing, and Burning Daylight Farms in Albemarle County is one of those farms steeped in history. But now this beautiful farm is producing a new commodity.
Take one look at the pasture at Burning Daylight Farms in Albemarle County, and it doesn't look that much different than any other beef cattle operation in the state. Most of the 325 head of cattle lazily rest under shade to escape the hot afternoon sun. But further up the hill, you notice that this isn't your ordinary cattle farm. A magnificent barn shows that it was once home and birthplace for thoroughbred racehorses.
We had this barn built and we moved our horses here. And when Kentucky changed their breeding rules or laws, it made better sense for us to keep our mares down there year-round.
A racehorse that is born and bred in Kentucky results in a bigger purse when it wins races. That led the farm operators to switch gears to raising grass-fed beef.
Within the past 5 years is when we've really been focusing on the grass-fed beef, doing rotational grazing, changing our bulls to Solaris bulls because the birthing process is a little easier on the cows. The marbling in the meat is a lot better.
Grass-fed beef is a popular product with consumers in local farmers markets and some meat markets. The meat typically has less fat than traditional grain-fed beef and has a more pronounced taste. This type of beef is produced by animals that have never eaten anything other than their mother's milk and grass their entire lives. Despite an increase in consumer demand for grass-fed beef, the market is still relatively small. The latest statistics show grass-fed beef is less than 3% of all U.S. beef sales. But the number of U.S. grass-fed beef producers is rising from 50 in 2002 to more than 2,000 in 2011. At Burning Daylight Farms, the cattle are raised from birth to market. The only time they don't eat grass is in the winter when it's replaced with hay. Right now, the farm sells beef directly to the consumer through a meat processor in Lexington, Virginia.
Tastes a little different, you know. I mean, you can't overcook it, but the demand is there, you know. I mean, you see these artisanal places, restaurants that want to be able to put on their menus that there's grass-fed beef.
Just like when raising top-quality racehorses, the farm's operators pay attention to every detail to provide a quality product to the consumer.
Oh, it means a lot. You know, I would hope that people would take advantage of being able to buy local. I mean, the whole thing is know your farmer, you know, and what a great way to know your farmer, you know. I mean, they're Virginia raised and, you know, everything stays here in Virginia. So, you know, it's helping our Virginia industry.
Anyone interested in buying custom beef cuts from Burning Daylight Farms can contact the farm directly at 434-978-1415, or you can find grass-fed beef at many farmers markets or local food sources around the state.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to help us celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in our home, our landscape, or these wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good month.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.